Clearly, we want her out there. I think she draws so much attention, and she's a phenomenal player. But at the same time, I think it's a great time for her to learn from the sideline.
2 minutes ago, Caitlin Clark was ejected from a WNBA game after receiving her second technical foul. The call came late in a tense physical matchup and left the Indiana Fever without their star player during a crucial stretch. The decision immediately drew a visible and vocal response from teammates Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. Both players made it clear they believed the ejection was wrong, confronting officials and refusing to let the moment pass without protest. This incident has now become more than just a disputed call. It is the latest flashpoint in a growing debate about how the WNBA treats its most high-profile players, the consistency of officiating, and whether the league is doing enough to protect the athletes driving its growth. From the opening minutes, the game was physical. Both teams played with intensity, pushing the limits of legal contact. Screens were set hard, bodies collided in the paint, and off-ball jostling was constant. The referees allowed much of this to go without whistles, which only increased the level of contact as the game progressed. Caitlin Clark, known for her ability to read the court and hit deep three-pointers, absorbed several hits while trying to create plays. Early in the third quarter, she voiced her frustration over a missed foul call and was given her first technical. As the fourth quarter wound down, the tension between players and officials remained high. On one possession, Clark was involved in another contested play that ended without a whistle. She reacted verbally toward the nearest official, and within seconds, the second technical was called. By rule, this meant an automatic ejection. The announcement was brief. Clark was instructed to leave the court immediately. Clark turned and walked toward the locker room without making any additional comments. Her face showed disbelief and frustration, but she did not engage further with the officials. The arena, which had been loud just moments before, shifted into a mix of boos and shocked murmurs. On the Fever bench, Sophie Cunningham reacted first. She stepped toward one of the referees, speaking in a controlled but direct tone, clearly asking for clarification. Seconds later, Lexie Hull joined her, pointing toward the court and motioning in Clark's direction, signaling disagreement with the call. Both players remained near the sideline rather than returning to their seats. The officials issued them a warning to step back, but neither appeared willing to end the discussion. Cunningham stood with folded arms, watching the referees closely, while Hull continued to gesture toward the spot where the disputed play had occurred. The Fever coaching staff eventually intervened, guiding both players back toward the bench. However, the frustration was visible, and it was clear this was more than just disagreement over a single call.
It's gonna set in for me for quite some time. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids and the people in the state of Iowa. And I hope I brought them a lot of joy this season. I hope this team brought them a lot of joy.
While the technical fouls and ejection were the immediate controversy, the reaction from Cunningham and Hull pointed to a larger issue. This was not the first time Clark had been at the center of a heated officiating decision, nor the first time she had been the target of unusually physical defense. Clark's presence in the league has drawn unprecedented attention to the WNBA. Her games attract higher attendance, increased television ratings, and more social media engagement than most other matchups. Yet despite her status, she has been subject to consistent physical targeting, often without the officials stepping in. For Cunningham and Hull, the ejection symbolized a pattern, one in which the league's most marketable player is also the one least protected from excessive contact. Their defense of Clark was about more than the moment. It was about challenging a system they believe has failed to adjust to the spotlight and scrutiny that comes with her presence. This incident immediately became a focal point in the ongoing discussion over fairness, player safety, and the league's responsibility to its athletes. The game in Indianapolis wasn't an isolated event. It was the culmination of weeks of mounting frustration. Throughout the season, Clark had been on the receiving end of repeated hard fouls, elbows to the ribs, aggressive body checks, and contact above the shoulders, with many of those plays going unpenalized. While physical defense is a normal part of professional basketball, the consistency and severity of contact against Clark had begun to stand out. Analysts and fans had noted that other high-profile players in the league were not subjected to the same level of unchecked aggression. Cunningham and Hull had seen it unfold game after game. They had watched their teammate pick herself up off the floor after hard contact, often without so much as a whistle. When the second technical foul was called, it crossed a line for them. Their visible protest during the game wasn't just about the call itself. It was a direct response to what they saw as a season-long pattern of officials failing to protect one of the league's most important players. Statistics from this season reinforce the perception that Clark is being targeted. Internal tracking and media analysis show that she has absorbed more flagrant or borderline flagrant fouls than any other player in the league. One breakdown indicated that more than 17% of all flagrant fouls committed league-wide have been against her. Even more striking, a single opponent, the Chicago Sky, accounted for the majority of those. Despite this, the number of technical fouls called on Clark for her own reactions is among the highest in the league. This has created a perception that the officials are quicker to penalize her for dissent than they are to penalize opponents for dangerous contact. Both Cunningham and Hull have addressed this publicly, saying that the pattern is too consistent to ignore. Cunningham has called it a double standard, while Hull has described it as a lack of star protection. The numbers, combined with repeated on-court incidents, have fueled criticism that the WNBA is failing to protect one of its most valuable assets. The situation facing Clark has drawn comparisons to other moments in professional basketball history when star players were subjected to excessive physical play. One of the most cited examples is Michael Jordan's early years in the NBA. In the late 1980s, Jordan faced aggressive, often borderline violent defense from teams like the Detroit Pistons, who built entire game plans around physically wearing him down. At the time, many of these tactics were not penalized under league rules. Over time, the NBA recognized the risk this posed, both to player safety and to the marketability of its stars. The league began enforcing stricter rules on flagrant fouls and implemented clearer protections for players in vulnerable positions. The comparison underscores a key point. Protecting star players is not about favoritism, it's about preserving the product. Fans tune in to watch the most skilled players perform at their highest level. If those players are repeatedly injured or removed from games due to unchecked physicality, both the competitive integrity and the business of the league suffer. Many observers believe the WNBA is now at a similar crossroads. The question is whether it will adapt as the NBA once did, or continue on its current path. Within minutes of Clark's ejection, video clips of the play began circulating on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Slow-motion replays, fan-shot footage, and even alternate angles from courtside seats flooded timelines. The reaction was immediate and polarized. Supporters of Clark argued the call was an overreach, pointing out that similar incidents in other games had gone unpunished. Others claimed the technical fouls were justified, framing Clark's reaction as disrespect toward the officials. Hashtags like #ProtectCaitlin and #DoubleStandard trended nationally for several hours. Prominent sports analysts, former WNBA players, and even NBA stars weighed in, with some criticizing the officiating crew by name. The Fever's own post-game press conference only added fuel to the fire. Cunningham and Hull reiterated their belief that Clark was being unfairly targeted, while the coaching staff chose their words carefully, avoiding direct accusations but acknowledging a pattern in how she has been officiated.
Drags out Nelson Adota. Clark will fire and hit the three. Space. Connecticut everywhere. Here's Clark with Banham guarding her. Clark gets bumped, will take, and hit from three.
The online conversation transformed the incident from a single-game controversy into a league-wide talking point, and one the WNBA could not easily ignore. Clark has brought record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, and unprecedented media coverage to the league. That surge in popularity also brings new expectations. Fans expect star players to be given the same protections and considerations they see in other professional leagues. If Clark continues to be subjected to excessive physical play without consistent officiating, the risk is twofold. First, there's the potential for injury to one of the league's most marketable athletes. Second, there's the possibility of alienating new fans who tuned in specifically to watch her play. The WNBA's ability to strike the right balance, allowing physical, competitive basketball while ensuring player safety, will influence not just Clark's career, but the league's long-term reputation. As with the NBA's handling of its stars in the past, the decisions made now could set the standard for years to come. Cunningham and Hull's public defense of their teammate has made the issue impossible to dismiss. The numbers support their claims, the footage is everywhere, and the public conversation is growing louder by the day. Whether the league responds with policy changes, tighter officiating, or no action at all, the outcome will send a message. For now, Clark remains on the court, continuing to play through the hits. The question is how long the WNBA will allow the story to be about the fouls instead of the basketball.